Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Ken.
And this is a Candid Conversation. A weekly podcast where two middle of the country bumpkins that love lattice top apple pie and turkeys and colored corn and pumpkins talk about whatever comes to their mind.
That's what it looks like. These pumpkins are huge in the background.
We like big pumpkins and we cannot lie.
Okay, sorry about that.
I'm sorry I'm boring you already.
No, it's just, I don't know. Been a long day. Okay. So today's topic is going to be about trust. So today I got myself, I was kind of thinking about the lack of trust that we are supposed to buy into with this administration. So Christianity kind of does this too. Just a lack of trust in anybody that's not like them, right? But with those in power right now, they have, I guess if you want to call it successful, if that's their plan, I don't know. There's always been this kind of distrust for the government, but now you're supposed to trust this government, right? But there's a distrust of educational institutions. There's a distrust of medical institutions. There's a distrust of scientists. There's a distrust of libraries, distrust running amok, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's kind of what you...
distrust of each other after COVID.
What has happened in the last 3 elections, I think, it's happened in a lot of elections, but really amped up in the last 3. Because, we can go back to, who was it, Nixon and Goldwater, where Goldwater had the nuclear bomb blowing up in the background, I think behind a kid.
I don't know this. Yeah.
Moved elections. And in the last 3, this fear has really gone on, and it's gone to unsubstantiated fear. So all of a sudden we're spewing out, don't trust the media that you listen to, don't trust the teachers you listen to, don't trust the doctors you go to, don't trust anything you go to. The only thing you can trust is me and who I approve.
And here's the thing. Well, go ahead, finish your thought.
So I think what that's led to is now so much distrust has been put out that they can't even be trusted themselves.
Well, by
anybody.
Okay. By anybody. They shouldn't be trusted, first of all. But I think still people who follow like cult-like will follow and still trust. Okay. So, but I think as someone who used to be conservative and now is not conservative anymore, kind of we're in this middle. I wouldn't necessarily call myself I wouldn't call myself a Democrat, but I think I lean left for sure. And I do like some liberal ideas. But they had, so when we were in Christianity, we trusted our church, right? We trusted those. We only trusted the government when a Republican was in charge, right? Otherwise, we only were trusted the Republican Party. We didn't trust public schools.
And this is, honestly, this is just our generation.
Okay,
because if you go back before the 70s when the church started getting involved in politics to a great extent, there was admiration
trust for the government.
For each party.
Yeah.
You just had some differences.
It was, yeah.
But they got along and they were able to work together and figure out what was best for everything. Church stepped in.
Till Reagan came along, maybe that's when it kind of shifted.
He was one of the first elected church guys.
Because Carter was a Democrat, but he's a Christian. He was a Baptist.
Reagan was the first one to take the Christian principles that were being spewed out by, Falwell, and soon to be Dobson and all these other ones, and started taking that Christian the moral majority that was
So
coming.
he was their first
first.
piggy or guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
They were going to try to use.
That put out. So that started this whole thing that we grew up and experienced throughout our whole life of distrust of the Democrats. They're a bunch of baby killers, and just immoral. Everything. We are the moral majority over here.
They were the ones that had
what morality is in this country. These people don't have any morals over here. They want to let everything slide and go on.
Yes, yeah, they're baby kill. Yeah, exactly. Well, and my point, I guess, kind of was that. So in Christianity, there was this just trust for anybody who didn't believe like us, any other religion, your non-Christian colleges were considered not trustworthy. They were going to turn you against God.
Which
media,
you define in cult behavior.
Yeah. I don't know if media was attacked as much, but they did like Fox News. They didn't like CNN, CNN is left-leaning and Fox is right-leaning.
So when you get into media, here's something I heard today that really kind of opened this up. There was the fairness doctrine in media. So if any person presented something on a broadcast, radio, TV, whatever, and if it was a biased opinion, then you had to allot the same amount of time
for the other opinion,
for the other side to be put out too. So if someone that had
do they not do that anymore?
It got eliminated in 87.
Why would that be eliminated, though?
Which then spawned CNN, NBC, MSNBC, Fox. Now you don't have to. You can spew your own opinions and your own ideologies out.
And nobody can contradict you
don't have to,
on your show.
Yeah, you don't have to have
And some people only watch Fox or they only watch CNN.
So news sources used to be more trustworthy because they knew if they stepped into a biased idea,
they could be challenged.
Now we have to take, if I spent 5 minutes talking about this biased idea, now I have to take 5 minutes out of my programming to allow someone to challenge that idea.
Why would that have been taken away? What would be the motivation? Who gains by taking that away?
The power.
Who took it away first?
Well, the government voted it away. It was a law.
Who was in the government? That's not like a bipartisan.
That was during Reagan.
That's crazy.
That was during Reagan, and the Democrats were in charge of Congress and House.
Well, why would they have voted for that?
You started getting in, and this is pure speculation, but it might have been when you started getting into the roots of oligarchy and the beginnings of it. Because what's the best way to control people is George Carlin had a bit. I just saw this the other day. He said, what the rich people want to do is have you fight with each other, because then you're not worried about what they're doing up top. You're worried about what your neighbor's doing that's equal with you. So they can go ahead and do whatever they want. And you're not worried about it because you're too busy worried about the fight that they started with you and your neighbor.
Okay, so that leads me into my main point.
Ooh, you're welcome.
So, very good. Thank you. My main point is, first of all, they have got us they've got us to a point where we don't trust one another. And COVID kind of played a role in that too, with the masks and people, the germs and everybody not trusting one another, right? So now we've gotten to the point where people are like, they don't want to trust somebody because they think they might have voted a way that they don't like, and so there's just constant distrust. It's in families and it's all over the place, right? And I want to point out, first of all, we have to start noticing that we do trust one another and kind of have to. First of all, we cannot have a healthy relationship as a country if we don't learn how to trust one another. We've got to figure out a way to do it. And we cannot depend on our government to tell us who's trustworthy. I just want to make this point first. That we trust one another more than we realize. Like, think about when you're driving down the road. You actually trust that most of the drivers will follow the rules. And they do. You trust that when you go to the grocery store and buy food, that food's not going to kill you. And most of the time it doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Most of the time.
I want to just
I
say
hope
that
it's a
there's
little more than most of the
I
time.
mean, well, sometimes some people it happens. But you know what I'm saying? Like we are trusting one another, but yet we're not. And we need to figure out ways to trust, and how do we get there is one of my questions. Is my question.
Before we get to that, I want to put a little spin on that trusting too, because I think there are good situations not to have trust. So,
Well, yes.
I think if you don't know the person or the individual or the group or whatever, you can have skepticism, but still have some trust in humanity, that they're not out to actually cause you physical or
you need
personal
there is
harm.
a healthy dose of skepticism. Yes.
Yeah. So
that's
but
necessary.
People can earn distrust quite quickly with how they act, and we've experienced that. And I think everyone in their lives has experienced that, where they know people in their life that you can go live your life as much as you want. I just can't trust anything that you do, say, act, or whatever. And that's just based on but that's based on something.
That's based on something. Yeah. It's
Something
not just with this underlying worldview that everybody's out to get everybody and everybody hates everybody and everybody's racist or bigoted or, homophobic. Like when we think like that, that's going to cause some serious problems. But as you get to know somebody, as you listen to what they say, as they show you their actions, and I think the actions speak louder than words for sure. Yes, we have had people in our lives that I don't even know if trust could ever be rebuilt. And trust, you have to have trust to have a healthy relationship. There's just no way around it.
Yeah.
So, that's...
Their trust towers crumbled.
Oh, yeah, because we use trust tower in our family. Yeah, so I always say to the kids, where's your trust tower? And, you break it and you could rebuild it, but it takes a long time to build trust. And it depends on how the trust was broken as to how long it will take, right? But I think if we don't figure out ways to begin to trust one another, like I'm not talking blind trust. I'm talking first you need to decide, what do you think humans are? If you think humans are inherently evil, like I was raised to believe, right? You're going to have a lot of distrust for people. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're going to have distrust for everything. But if you don't learn how to trust some people that don't look and think and act like you're going to have a very hard go at life. You've got to figure out a way.
That's the difficulty of the situation. And I think everyone that's listening to this and understands it can see this too, is that in deconstruction, it took something to push us away from the systems that we were in, because the systems are keeping you in this distrust.
They are.
They are constantly pushing it, wanting you to stay in it, because that's how they keep their control.
Yeah.
Religion keeps their control because you can't trust anything outside what we say to you. Because if you go outside,
you can't even trust
that's
necessarily
dangerous.
your fellow people sitting on the pew next to you as much as you can trust those in authority over you.
Yes.
You're supposed to trust them blindly and trust them even when they're doing things that are like, you're like, no way.
Yeah.
And the critical thinking skills that have been stunted if you've grown up in Christianity.
The thing about that is that these people are also the ones that have broken the trust tower the most in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's rampant assault going on in these systems because they have blind authority and blind trust and everything. So
but the
parents
thing is,
will say, go ahead, go to the church. My kids are safe there. And it might be the least safe place for your children to go because predators understand that.
Yeah. They know what's...
They've set a perfect trap.
Oh, yeah. That's why they're drawn to those kinds of places because, and you've created such a distrust of everything outside that you have to put trust somewhere. You have to trust. So I don't know that you can live a healthy, happy life, a healthy life at all, if you don't trust at least somebody, right? You can't just not trust anybody ever.
You think about
you're going to be pretty miserable.
The people that don't trust anything are these conspiracy people. And when you think of that, what kind of person do you think of? It's not a very coherent, stable individual.
No,
It's
no.
someone that's on
It's
the
usually a mental illness, honestly. It really is, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, there's some sort of disorder or something
but
going on.
that's what
And
happens when
they
you don't
are,
have trust.
and they, yes, exactly. Your brain breaks probably in a sense. You know, you have to trust,
Well-
like the example of driving.
well,
You have to at least trust that everybody's going to
Let's
drive
take
on
it
the road to
to-
go in the same direction.
Go to a
Or go in the right
psychological area. If you don't trust anyone, what mode of operation are you in psychologically? You're constantly in fight or flight
Yeah.
because you're constantly scanning everything around you, taking
Yeah. There's
everything
no
in.
safe. Yeah.
There's no safety around you at all times. So that's going to lead you into a state of perpetual anxiety.
Yeah, which leads to generalized anxiety, which causes you to suffer throughout life, you know, because you can't, and you become more and more isolated because of the fear. And you also have, you know, our government is trying to push us that direction even more and more, right? Like almost just distrust for everybody and we can't even trust the government.
Yeah.
I think you've gotten to the point where even some people who are in the cult are starting to go, can I even trust this government? There are some, right? And so my question is, would you say that a good antidote to this lack of trust is, I'm wondering if like podcasts like ours or people who are like, maybe that's why TikTok was so popular or such a draw to a lot of people, is you can show your authentic life a little bit. You know, you can see,
You could,
you're
but you
seeing
could
more
also,
authentic. You could also pretend, yes,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of it was more authentic than Instagram was just so like curated to look perfect. Facebook, you know, same thing, and people became very polarized in Facebook. And it's where you're talking on a video, you're seeing somebody's face, their mannerisms, you know what I'm saying? Now you got AI messing with all that too, but just that authenticity that
still
as we
lack of trust.
lack of trust. I mean, now we can't trust the images.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's all over the place. But I think that and even like our president is starting to say like you can't even trust the numbers on something. Like those are fake. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dear God, is there anything we can trust? And I do think there is. And I think most people in your day-to-day life,
Yeah.
there's a lot of trust that goes on. First of all, you need to recognize it, that you can trust a lot of people to do their jobs when they're at work, to drive on the road the way they're supposed to make your food without poisoning you. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that.
Yeah. got her up. That's the devil coming into you, going through you. I think, honestly, that maybe this administration has a slight blessing to it, too, because it's become so ridiculous with the denial of any fact or anything like that. People come in with actual numbers provided by his administration's government services and say, hey, this is what this looks like. And he says, fake news.
I know.
So I think more and more people are starting to see that as, okay, hold on a second. So everything's fake. That's not good for you. Even though
I hope people are seeing that, but
I think more and more are starting to see it, you know, and the shine's really coming off with a lot of individuals on what's going on.
I hope some of our loved ones are starting to see it. I don't know.
They
You
might
don't
be,
think so?
but they're still probably afraid because they have a lack of trust for the people that are out there that are going to be like, told you so.
Well, they have a lack of trust and they have an aversion to admitting wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because there's shame and they don't know how to like process that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things we can do, those of us who recognize what's going on, that we just be as authentic, like another reason that authenticity is part of the solution. It's a big part of the solution. Like, you have to live authentic so that people can see that they can trust you. That means you can't wear a mask and act a certain way, so with one group, and then act different in another. I'm not talking about a mask that doesn't show all of you. I'm talking about a mask that you're a different person when you're with different groups. You cannot do that, because that creates distrust. Or, you got to be able to trust that when somebody, you got to trust those people that are in your inner circle. You trust to be in areas where there's people who don't have your best interest in mind, that they will still stand in solidarity with you. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of person that you need to be all the time, and not just flipping back and forth, which is what a lot of things you have to do in Christianity. I mean, quite honestly, that's what happens.
Yeah, and it goes to people pleasing too, because the only reason you're putting on mask and trying to be this different individual is because you're trying to please this group and be approved by that group. And then you're going to be this individual over here, because if you can get away from trying to be the people pleaser and
people pleasing is, I heard some lady just say, I've stopped calling it people pleasing. She's like, I just flat out call it lying, because that is what it is. It is lying. And it's you have to take the judgment off of it. You're not a liar because of it. You are, I mean, I guess technically, but
if you tell a
what
lie,
you're doing,
then you're a liar and you're going to hell.
Okay, Kirk Cameron. But really what it is, if we can take the judgment away, because that's what causes a lot of problems. The Bible brings in all this religion brings in this judgment, which causes the shame, right? Instead it's a coping mechanism that your nervous system came up with. Like, let's do this, it'll keep us alive. Right? Let's people please. Or fawning is another thing. It's just, you pretend. You do whatever you have to do to stay in the group. And if you realize that group requires you to be somebody than who you really are in order for you to be accepted, that's what, and you can take that judgment off. Like, first of all, it's a program that is running. You can be reprogrammed. It's not a sin. It's a program. So being authentic, which takes a lot of courage, you got to be vulnerable. You got to let people see who you are. And it also it'll shift your whole life around. Your whole life will get sifted. There's no, like, the phrase of Jesus, like, count the cost before you take up your cross or whatever. That is applicable in this situation. Like, count the cost, because this is being authentic stirs up your life so much that you will lose people in your life. They will go out of your life, people that you did not expect to lose.
Yeah.
Period. That's going to happen. But you'll have new people come in and be a part of your life but they actually love you. You don't have to be anybody else. You get to be you, and they like you and they love you. And it's much more satisfying and fulfilling of a life. And I think that's the direction as a whole we will end up going. But I guess I just wanted to, like, bring it up because, first, to make people aware of all the distrust that is being thrown at us, so that we are really coming to a point where it's like, you got to trust yourself. So you first got to get to know you, and you got to trust yourself. And then you got to listen to yourself when you're in the presence of somebody else, know if they're trustworthy, but also kind of have this sense that I think most people, I think if you ask psychologists, like, most people generally don't want harm for other people. You know what I'm saying? They're not out to, like, hurt people.
Yeah.
They want everybody to, I want you to live a decent life.
Yeah.
I want to live mine, and I want you to live yours.
And they're going to have different opinions how you get there.
Yeah.
But that's where the debate and conversation come in. But we can't even get to that point right now because there's so much distrust.
Yeah.
That, you think different than me, you're out to purposely harm me. And this isn't one way or the other. It's both ways on this. Yeah. So
basically what we need to do as people who are listening, or as those of us who are more self-aware, we need to figure out ways to learn how to trust again. Really. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being afraid of people. I don't know if it really got amped up with the pandemic, the masks, and everybody thinking, like, actually accusing people of wanting people to die if they didn't wear a mask, which we wore masks, but I didn't like that idea of people like calling people names and saying, because you do need pushback on the government. You didn't need everybody to put on a mask, because that also gives a message to the government. I understand that we do want that because it helped people. But also, if everybody complies, we got a problem, because then the government's like, oh, I can get everybody to comply with whatever. And I kind of like a little bit of pushback because I think it's healthy. You need some people to say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like, even when it was happening, I wasn't one that was going to go without a mask, but I wasn't going to judge those who weren't. I was like, they have a right to make that decision. Just don't spread it, But anyways.
Yeah.
We need to be aware that this is a phenomenon that's going on, and it is a tactic that not good people in power use. It's been used before, right? And then how did they build that trust back in people?
I'm trying to think of an example, because most of them ended in revolution.
I mean, that's pretty much what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We kind of have to. Things have to change.
Yeah, it's because you could elect whoever you want. You could elect, trying to think who's a beloved individual in this country. Steve
Obama?
from Blue's Clues as president.
Okay. Yeah.
And people are still not going to trust the government because of what's happened.
No, and I'm not saying that we need to trust our government. Yeah. I'm saying we need to learn how to trust one another. Yeah. Regardless of what our government does, we have to learn how to trust each other.
If we start taking off the jerseys and stop seeing people as either red or blue and start seeing people as people, would be a first step in that. And then,
but that's really hard because people see someone in red and they think the red hates. And it's not so much. There are plenty of people that are on Team Red, if you want to call it that don't hate LGBTQ. They are programmed and confused and they have been deceived.
They're on Team Red.
That is a lot of it too.
Because of one issue. It might be abortion.
It might just be that's what Christians are tied to mostly. Yeah. So that's what they got to go with. But there are Christians who are blue.
Yeah.
So you can do it. You can switch teams. But you don't need to switch teams. This isn't about. You can't call
yourself a Christian and have blue. Yeah, but it's about taking off the jerseys and just realizing people are human. Okay? We can have a difference of opinion. We can have a difference on how we want to achieve this objective. But as long as we both can agree that we don't want to hurt, I don't want to put you out. I don't want you to be hurt.
I don't want to take your rights away.
Yeah, I don't want you to hurt me.
And I don't want you to take mine away.
How do we get there? And if we can get to that point where we see each other as human, can start discussing of, all right, I don't want to lose anything that I have, because the biggest issue, and we'll use this as an example, the LGBTQ, because a lot of times, and I saw some here recently with the commercials that were going out in California about same-sex marriage. And it's like, you're taking away my rights. And it's like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. But the rights were their rights to oppose gay marriage.
Yeah, that's the right that they want.
Technically, no, that's not getting taken away. You can still oppose it and not do it and not participate it yourself. Mm-hmm. But you're not seeing that. You're seeing that this law is forcing you to accept it. Well, no.
But then they want to legislate where you're forcing us. We're forcing somebody who actually wants to. We need to stop trying to legislate our beliefs. That's the problem. We're trying to legislate our beliefs instead of just laws that keep us all safe. Mm-hmm. I want my beliefs to be the rule of the land so that I can feel comfortable or whatever. And that, I think, is a lot of what. Like, take, for instance, the LGBTQ issue. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of them just they're not trying to take anything away from straight people at all. Yeah, they're just like, just let us exist. Let us have,
if we could get to that conversation.
Some of the privilege that you have.
Where you could say, I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I just want to be able to marry my husband and live my life married to my husband. That's not taking you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to
No,
accept
but then
it.
they are,
But
this is where they're deceived into thinking like it's
yeah,
being pushed in their schools, and they believe that you're not born a certain way. Instead, they're thinking you become that way because of what's being taught at you,
yeah,
taught to you. So they're thinking that's why they distrust the teachers, because they think the teachers are pushing an agenda,
even
which
though
teaches the children and flips them. And
even though you could say that heterosexuality has been pushed in Christian doctrine forever,
oh
but
yeah,
yet
yeah,
there's a lot of gay individuals that come from that teaching.
yeah.
So you can't teach them to be straight.
No,
No matter
no.
how hard you try, you've been trying. And you've done conversion therapy and everything else. And all you've done is tried to get them to deny what they really are. And actually probably cause a lot of
the way
trauma
they
and
were
harm to
born.
them.
Yeah, yeah, you've come,
So
and
you
that's why
can't-
the suicide rates get
You
higher.
can't teach anyone to be attracted to whatever. Because you tried.
No, because
and
nobody
you've
taught
proved
you
it.
how to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one ever said to me like, or I never said like I got to be attracted to guys. That's just the way it was. I was just attracted that direction. It's so weird that someone would think, but I was brought up thinking that they chose it for what? It's harder. You get, there's been abuse, and, it's, you wouldn't choose it necessarily. You know what I'm saying? At one point it was very scary, actually. So, and I'm not saying you wouldn't choose to be gay if you're gay. I'm just saying, like, if it was something you could choose, you'd probably take the easier route. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so none of it is a choice.
Yeah.
But they're not taught that. So what I'm trying to say is it's easy to hate someone on the other team, if we're going to use that language, if you think that they really do hate people and they really do want the worst for people. But that's not what's true in a lot of cases. They are deceived into thinking, they're tricked into thinking someone is making people gay. Someone is, and that's the agenda, so that they will,
Tricked into thinking that people are trying to make them gay, trying to force them to be in gay marriage, trying to force them to to have abortions all over the place.
Yeah.
It's all this nonsense.
They're not very, I don't want to say this to be rude, because I was there, there's not a whole lot of
education.
There's not much education. Yes, there's not much education. So it's and the critical thinking skills are stunted. So it's just like this perfect petri dish to grow this really terrible stuff, right?
Yeah.
And instead, if we could understand that they're kind of just, and then come alongside them and try to help them by letting them see us be loving and kind and patient with them as they grow and change, instead of, like I saw a post where it was a guy that was coming to, it was actually this psychologist that I really like, and him and a podcaster were talking about men realizing, like, basically how the patriarchy hurts everyone, and how they were seeing something through women's eyes. They were kind of opening it. People were like,
what's this podcast we just recorded?
No. But someone in the comments was like, now they're only paying attention to it now. We've been talking about it for years. And I was like, I'm just thankful they're talking about it, for crying out loud. Let's let them, don't shame them for understanding it now. It's like telling a kid, like, when they finally figure out how to read a certain, sound out certain words, it's like saying, gosh, about time. Like, man, you're so stupid, and that's not helping anything. And you actually look like a fool when you make those kind of, because I think women have been oppressed in a certain way, but men have been oppressed in a certain other ways. You know what I'm saying? And there are some men that are starting to become much more emotionally mature, understanding things, you included. Like, if I were to go, oh, you're such an idiot that you just now being able, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would just, what good would that do? You'd shut down more instead of like continue to explore it. So that helps build trust too. When you create safety for one another, and we have to, those of us who are more self-aware, we will become even more self-aware as we create space for people to explore these questions, say the wrong thing sometimes, you know, instead of correcting, like kind of help guide them, see maybe at some point, but don't correct every little thing that they're doing. It's overwhelming, you know. And the lack of distrust in Christianity, we have to stop doing that. Now, we don't flip and then become distrustful on the other side.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just not helping anything. So I guess my main point was you are trusting more than you realize, and maybe notice that more where you do trust strangers even. And yes, you need healthy skepticism. I think a lot of us who are deconstructing have plenty of that. And sometimes to an extreme. You know, you don't want to become a cynic.
Yeah.
You want to be skeptical, but you don't want to be a cynic. So figure out ways of being authentic so that you can show people who you really are, and then they can realize like, oh wow, like I can trust you because you're safe. Really, more than anything, you're safe. You know, you're the same person here, and you're not going to go over there and then trash talk me. You know what I'm saying? You what you would say behind my back, you'll say to my face.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just all I wanted to share.
All right. Well,
Food for
thank
thought.
you for that. Food for thought. It's very trusting of you to put that out into the ethos. So, if you are watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, go and like, subscribe, and follow. We'd appreciate that greatly. If you got a moment, leave a comment. We'd appreciate that also. If you're listening on a podcast streamer, give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate that greatly. No matter what service you're on, just give us a good rating. We'd love that. And if you got a moment, leave us a comment because we love hearing comments. And if you want to get involved with anything we're doing, all our links are down below. The main one, dannycan.com. Check that one out. That'll tie into everything we're doing. And then we got a couple broken out for hypnotherapy with Candy and Substacks and all that. That's all down below, so you can click on that in the description. So go check all that stuff out and just trust us. We're not out there trying to harm you.
No, that's not the message I'll give, though. I
Trust
hope
us.
our transparency on here does, I hope, come across as trustworthy because we are who we are. Like you're seeing it. This is how we are in real life. We're not putting on a performance.
Yep.
Right. This is just us. So,
or are we?
I don't know. Gotta trust your gut there.
All right. Well,
trust yourself first. So
we'll see you back next week. And the Thanksgiving festivities will be gone. Well, Wednesday you'll have one more festive Thanksgiving thing next week, but for the next Candid Conversation, who knows what'll be behind us.
Why are you doing this with your hand? Stop. It looks like a priest. Okay, this makes terrible audio. How come your arm can go across but mine can't?
Because I programmed it that way.
Okay, wow.
You're in front of me. If your arm were to be able to go that way, you'd be like as big as the pumpkin back there. And I'd be like, It's the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Okay.
Goodbye.
I'm on the couch. Love you.
Right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Jerk.
You're welcome.